Welcome to the TAOFit method. Today we're going to be working hip mobility and some light core activation, especially around the hips. I want to get into good mobility where we're mobilizing the hips and pelvic floor. So it's pelvic floor mobility and then getting some activation, some good core activation to go with it. So let's get started. So we'll start on our back, making our nice big C shapes with our hands. Hands going below that rib cage and above the hip bone in that nice meaty section of the abdominal wall. See if you can root your thumbs. I'm going to stand up for this part. A little bit more into the muscles that work just up and down the spine right here. We have these erector spinae. They move right next to the spine. As you put those thumbs in, see if you can press into those muscles just a little bit more. Index fingers are going to wrap around as much as possible so that we can feel a little bit of the abdominal wall, and then palms are pressing into that side body space. And the reason I want those thumbs dug in just a little bit into that low back musculature is I want to be a little bit more focused on that, that kind of tissue in that low back area on our breath to see if we can feel it kind of moving out and away, pushing into our thumbs. Again, kind of like a balloon being inflated. If you got your hands wrapped around the balloon as it gets inflated, you should feel those thumbs kind of move out and away. So we're going to get a nice inhale breath through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. As you exhale, feel your belly button pressing down into your spine like it's trying to flatten your low back spine into the floor. And then on that next inhale, inflate the balloon. See if you can feel that area where your thumbs are kind of dug into. Does it move? Can you feel it kind of pushing the thumbs out on that inhale breath? Exhale, full, nice, slow exhale. We'll go nice and slow on a minimum of 5 up to 10. Nice slow inhales, nice slow exhales. Now, as you're feeling into that low back area, does the right side move the same as the left side? Does one push a little stronger than the other? Does one feel really limited? Maybe it feels like it doesn't move at all. I just want to observe it right now. I don't want to judge it. Just want to get a feel for it. As we get that last inhale to exhale, we're going to slowly shift up and come into our shin box position. And so for shin box today, we're going to do, instead of focusing just one side and then the other side, we're going to go back and forth. We're going to start with our knee openers. I'm still going to start in my normal shin box, a little shifted over, hand down, grounded into the floor, palm is spiraled out and away, feeling that shoulder packed down and back. We're going to start with just 2, 3 little knee openers, going nice and easy. Inhale into our crocodile breath, exhale, drawing navel into spine as we slowly lift that knee up to the ceiling. Inhale as we let it back down. On the next one, as I lift, I'm going to keep lifting and lifting. I'm going to let my other hand come back down. Now I want to imagine I got a piece of string from one knee to the other knee. So as I'm lifting, it's going to pull that string tight, and then it's going to keep going, and it's going to pull that other knee off the floor. And I'm going to slowly move to the other side. As I'm moving, I want to try to keep that string tight until the other knee hits the ground. Grounding the palm, spiraling the elbow, tall spine. Nice slow exhale as we lift that knee. Inhale as we let it down. And on that second one, as we lift and open, let it draw that string nice and tight as we then slowly move back to the other side. And we're going to go back and forth like that, drawing that string, getting it nice and tight. I want to think about this as like a nice piece of floss. I want to keep that floss tight. Feel the hips working to keep that tension until we get to the other side. As we're going back and forth, I'm going to add another element. So we're going to lift that knee, opening it up, bringing it back down, and then we're going to bring in our breath. Inhale, filling up that back hip bowl. Exhale, lift, moves forward and scoops. Feel that stretch through the front. On that next inhale, as it drops, we're opening that knee, and now we're getting into our floss. Nice, slow, all the way back. As we get here, nice knee opener. Feel that hip move. Once we bring it back down, inhale into that back hip bowl. Exhale, hip lifts, actively scoops forward. Inhale, let it drop again. And now we're opening that knee and flossing to the other side. And we're going to continue to add in elements as we go. So we're on this other side. We're opening up that knee nice and slow. Inhale as we let it back down. Bring that next inhale into that pelvic bowl. Exhale, we're going to exhale, lift, scoop, feel that stretch. And now we're adding in our rotation, reaching that shoulder like you're trying to reach through the arrow of your knee. You're sending that shoulder as far forward as it'll go. Inhale as we bring it back. Opening, flossing through the knees as we get to the other side. Inhale, exhale as we open. Bringing it back down. Next inhale, bringing it into that back hip bowl. Exhale as we lift, scoop. And now we're adding in that rotation, reaching through the knee. Inhale, bringing it all the way back. Exhale as we floss back to the other side. And again, we're going to continue to add little elements. So again, opening the knee first. Inhale into that back hip bowl. Exhale, lift, scoop. We're now rotating that shoulder, and we're going to add in our reach with our hands spiraling palm up to the ceiling as we reach and extend. Inhale as we bring it all the way back. Exhale as we floss to the other side. And we're going to try to go nice and slow, but I'm going to let you start moving through this at your own pace. So again, nice opening of that knee. Inhale into that back hip bowl. Exhale, scoop. Really feel that stretch through the front of the thigh. Adding in rotation, adding in our reach. Palm spirals up to the ceiling. Inhale as we bring it all the way back. Again, nice big floss as we move to the other side. We're going to add one last little element. So we're still opening the knee. Inhale into that back hip bowl. Exhale, actively scoop. We're rotating, reaching, spiraling. And now, as I inhale, bringing that spiral back, I want to rotate again, and this time reach and fold. So since I'm rotating, that's going to square me up to that knee. Both hands are reaching through that knee. Seeing if I can keep that sternum going through the knee. Inhale all the way back up. Flossing across to the other side. So I got lots of steps going on here, and you're going to mess them up, and that is okay. The main thing is that we're just kind of continuously moving, feeling into each of these things. So I got my knee opening, bringing it back down, Breathing into my back hip bowl. Exhale, lift, scoop, locking it in. Rotating into it. Reach, spiraling up. Bringing it back. And I'm going to rotate again just with the shoulders, or just the shoulder, and then both hands reaching through that knee into our fold. Inhale, bringing it all the way back, flossing across to the other side. Now, the order that I've put you through this is the least relevant thing here. The big thing is that we're kind of going through all these movements together, exploring how does everything feel on one side of the body compared to the other. How smooth can you transition from one movement within the hip into another movement in the hip? Is it a little, any particular transitions feel clunky, feel difficult on one side compared to the other side? It's a little harder to go from opening that knee into scoop, into rotation on that left side, more so than on the right side. We'll get one or two more going back and forth. Actually, I'm going to add one more component to this. As we get to the folds, we're going to open up our shin box at that point. Everything else will be within the shin box, our knee opener, breathing into that back hip bowl, into that rotation. But then when we get our second rotation, let that back leg slide back, opening up our shin box into that fold. And then as we come back up, we can slide that knee back in, floss across to the other side, and going through all the same stuff. So I'm definitely noticing my left hip, front of that left hip, inside groin area, a little tighter and affecting that rotation to that side as well, compared to the right side. But as I'm going through all of these little motions, definitely feeling it kind of loosening up, getting more mobile. Definitely feel that left hip on that fold as well. We'll get one more on both sides. And then we're gonna kind of back up. We're gonna stay in our shin box. We're gonna still going side to side using that floss through, but now we're gonna be working up to our knees. Anytime working up to the knees, I want to use hands to make sure that the knees don't hurt. There's no grinding, so I can have one hand in the back, the other hand in the front, kind of push, pull. At the same time, I want to actively try to scoop from the tailbone to lift up tall. Once we're up here, we're getting a little bit of that scoop, trying to scoop the tailbone. I want to feel that stretch through the front of the thigh. And on the way down, we're bringing hands again, but send that tailbone like you're trying to reach backwards. You're not trying to drop straight to the floor. You're trying to reach kind of to the wall until you come to the floor. Then nice floss across to the other side. Doing the same thing. Hands help. I'm still actively scooping, trying to come up nice and tall, adding a little bit more scoop at the top, and then hands assist, reaching that tailbone like I'm trying to slide backwards, and then nice floss across to the other side. If the knees don't hurt, see if you can use the hands less. Still pulling from that tailbone. It's the tailbone that's scooping, that's lifting you up tall. Try to feel that stretch through the front. Then on the way down, we're turning that tailbone back and reaching. We can even add a counter reach. If you don't need your hands to the floor, counter reach. The more you're sliding that hip back, counter reaching, you should get a nice eccentric stretch, work stretch in that glute. Then opening up that hip, moving across to the other side. Can you scoop without using the hands? Can you reach back, counter reaching through the fingertips? See how long before that hip actually touches the ground. Bring it back to the other side. We'll get a good 5 to 10 reps back and forth. See if you can smooth the movement out so that it becomes continuous and it feels more like you're flowing from one side to the other side. Good. And finish up on that last one. Now we're going to come into an inverted position. So I want feet in front, knees are slightly bent, hands are coming in right behind the hips, reaching the palms into the floor, extending the elbows fully. And we're going to start with arm spirals. So letting those elbow pits turn out and away, spiraling outward. Notice how that helps to lift the chest up. I want to feel the shoulder blades reaching down into the floor, trying to get the spine tall as you can. This is our inhale phase. And then as we exhale, we're spiraling the elbow pits in. This is going to round the shoulders, round the upper back. We're also scooping at the tailbone with that belly button drawing in. So we should get some stretch through the low back all the way up to the upper back. Inhale, spiraling out. I want to lift tall. I want to feel those hands pressing down as they're spiraling out. I want to feel those shoulder blades working like they're trying to lift you off the floor. Exhale, we're spiraling in and we're getting short. We're collapsing, rounding. Feel that stretch throughout the low back to upper back. Inhale, tall. I want to see if we can feel that stretch more through the top of the chest. And on the next one, as you get tall on that inhale, we're going to get tall and we're going to stay tall. At this point, you can cross the legs, but we're still pressing through those palms, spiraling the elbows out. And now we're going to get into our neck mobility, checking blind spots first. Nice slow exhale as we turn and look over our right shoulder. Inhale as we come to the center. Exhale as we slowly look over our left shoulder. Now I want to reach with the chin. See how far can you get the chin over the edge of the chest. I don't want to reach with the forehead. I don't want the head to tilt with the forehead leading the way. I want that chin to lead as much as possible. The more you get that chin, you're going to get that mobility to move down a little deeper into the neck. Notice how does it feel on the right compared to the left. We'll come back to our center. Now we're going to do our light tilt and lift. This is where we're lightly tilting, not a heavy tilt. I don't want to try to touch my ear, just barely tilting. Then the opposite ear, I'm lifting like I'm trying to touch the ceiling. And as I'm lifting with that ear, my same side hand is pushing down into the floor. It's almost like my hand is trying to lift that ear up to the ceiling. I want to feel that light stretch through that side of the neck. Inhale as we soften and tilt to the other side. Again, pressing through that floor as you lift. And a couple things we can kind of assess on this. One is obviously, how tight does it feel? How much movement do you get in that lift from the neck? Another thing we can pay attention to is that press through the shoulders. Does one side, do you feel grounded and do you feel solid and you can really kind of press and get a good stretch? Does the other side feel weak, a little disconnected? Maybe it's harder to feel the same level of pressure in the hand. Maybe it's hard to feel the engagement from the shoulder. That's going to be a very, very important assessment point. It's going to give us some indication of some potential shoulder instability, which we definitely want to be taking note of. Good. We'll come back to our starting point, and now we're going to work into glide. Now, glide is super challenging for most people. I want to keep the cheekbones even, and I want to keep the face forward. So I don't want our heads to rotate or tilt, which is real easy to do on this. So I want to keep the cheekbones on the perfect plane. This one's easier to do in front of a mirror where you can see it. So it's exhale as you glide across, inhale as you come back to the center, exhale as you glide to the other side. And doing it in front of a mirror will help you see how far and how controlled can you do this movement in one direction compared to the other direction. It's a little tighter as I move to my right side. The left side feels a little easier. Although as I can, I can feel good tightness, a lot more tension in that right side. But as I'm looking in the camera, my range of motion for the most part is fairly even though there's just a little bit more restriction to that right side. So those are all like little notes that we can take on some of these movements. All right, now we're going to get onto our back. And I want to get into some single leg glute activation, and then we're going to do both legs together. So bringing both feet touching together, we're going to bend one knee, putting that foot flat to the floor, and we're going to move that foot out to about 45 degrees from the midline of the body. The other leg, I want to let that foot roll away so that the foot's kind of softening, the knee is kind of rolling to the floor. And I want to slightly bend that knee. And I just want to take that leg kind of out. I want it to be soft and relaxed, not working. We're only working this bent leg that's flat to the floor. This knee should be straight up to the ceiling. We're going to do start with inhale to exhale. As we exhale, we're slightly scooping and drawing that navel into our spine. And I want to press into the floor and feel that scoop lift this hip up to the ceiling. And so we should have space under that side hip. The other hip is on the floor. We're rolling on top of that other hip. The other hip should not be active. It should not be pushing at all. Inhale, we're letting that hip back down to the floor, filling up that crocodile breath. Feel it nice, expand nice and wide. Exhale, feel that belly button push down into your spine, pushing your spine into the floor, and then start to scoop. It's like you're trying to lift the tip of your tailbone to touch the ceiling, and at the same time, we're pressing firmly through that foot into the floor. As we're doing this, again, I want to make sure that opposite leg is completely soft and relaxed. And as you get to the top of this lift with this other leg, can we start to feel some length, maybe stretch on the front of the hip? Can you start to feel some tightening and contracting of the glute? And if you're feeling those two things, then I want to move into that a little bit more. I want to move into that stretch or length on the front, and I want to move into that contraction, and I want to squeeze into it for 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds at the top, getting it a nice isometric contraction, and then inhale as we let it back down. I want to get a good 10 up to 20 slow reps, really feeling that hip start to work. getting a little bit of isometric contraction and feeling a little bit of muscular burn. If we're feeling stretch on the top, contraction on the back, and that knee is directly over the foot, we should be getting some pretty decent glute activation. And once we get 10 to 20 reps on this side, we're going to bring it back down. We're going to straighten both legs. We're going to bring the legs together so they're touching. We're going to switch. Other opposite leg is going to bend, bringing that foot flat to the floor, moving it out to about 45 degrees from the midline of the body. And then the straight leg, we're going to let it roll, and we're going to bend, kind of pulling that heel in just a little bit. Again, just to take this leg out. So we're focusing on that elevated leg. Inhale into that crocodile breath. Exhale, navel draws into the spine as we start to scoop, pressing into that floor through the foot, scooping up, seeing if we can find that nice light length. Inhale, letting the hip come all the way back to the floor, filling up our crocodile breath. Exhale. Scoop. See if you can scoop a little bit higher. Again, note, because of the position we put that other leg, there should be no stress, no energy. We're rolling onto this hip. We're not pushing into this hip. All the work is just being done on that elevated knee. Notice if that stretch on the front feels more or less on this side. Note if you feel more or less contraction in the glute. And if you're able to feel any kind of length or stretch and any kind of contraction, then we want to move into that a little bit more. Again, finding that 2 to 3 second isometric contraction at the top. Inhale, we're letting it all the way back down. With each one, I want to really move into that stretch and that contraction a little bit more. The more you move into that contraction, the more you should feel that foot pressing down firmly into the floor. It's getting into that good foot drive. I want to feel that foot mashing down into the floor as we're lifting that hip up, feeling that hip super active, and inhale as we let it back down. Note the difference on this side compared to the other side. It's not unusual for one hip to feel tighter. My left hip is tighter, especially as I get up to this top end range. And because of that, I'm actually going to focus on that just a little bit more. I want to move into that tension as long as it is not painful. And I want to get those muscles to really activate around that tension. I'm trying to get that ball of the femur to get drawn out of the hip socket just a little bit at this top range. And I want to get those muscles activated around that femur being a little less packed and compressed. All right. Once we match our 10 to 20 reps, we're going to bring both feet together again. Now we're going to bend both knees, bringing both feet flat to the floor. And feet are going to be about shoulder width apart. And we're going to do the same basic glute activation, but we're going to do it through both legs together. So let's start with just some simple, a nice breath. I want to breathe in, feel that belly lift up. It's allowed to lift the spine off the floor. And then as we exhale, I want to feel that belly button drawing down and in, flattening the low back into the floor. And I want to feel that scoop. As we scoop, we should feel our feet press into the floor, and we're going to try to scoop as if we're trying to lift our pelvis up off the floor, and then each vertebrae one at a time from the floor. So we're scooping, feeling each vertebrae move one at a time. Actively scoop until we get to this top point here. Again, I want to see if we can feel length on the front, contraction on the back. And then we're inhaling as we let each vertebrae down one at a time. When we get to our hips, we can continue to inhale, let that belly lift, big sway in the back. Exhale, belly button draws down, presses that spine, and then scoop one vertebrae at a time, pressing into the floor. As we get to this top range, if you feel that stretch on the front, I want to move into it more. If you feel that contraction in the glutes, I want to press into the floor a little bit more. Hold 2 to 3 seconds. Inhale as we let it back down. And again, we're going to do about 10 to 20 reps on this. Really nice, slow hold at the very top. Squeeze into it. Feel those glutes work before you inhale and let them back down. Again, each one, as it starts to get tired and fatigued, I really want to actively move into it even a little bit more. I want to maximize that contraction, working into it. Inhale as we let it back down. Once we get 10 to 20 reps, we're going to go ahead and let the feet come up off the floor, getting into kind of like this nice little tabletop. Knees are going to be a little bit, or hips are going to be a little bit less than 90 degrees so that our low back is on the floor. Knees are around 90 degrees. Bringing both arms out to the side with the palms up. This is that one where I like to imagine we're laying in a bed of sand and we're trying to make this perfect imprint of our upper body in the sand. And then from here, we're just going to do a little bit of light rotation through the hips, allowing the hips to rotate to the right, but we're only going as far as we can keep our imprint in the sand. I don't want that shoulder getting lifted up because it's going to smear and it's not going to be pretty. Inhale as we come back to the center. Exhale as we go to the other side. We're just lightly moving into that low back space, noticing any tightness, any restriction. Is it different right side to the left side? But really, for the most part, this is just getting a little bit of mobility after doing our glute activations, making sure that the low back is not getting too tight on us. Once we get a good 5 to 10 reps, bring the feet back down to the floor. We're going to make our big C shapes with our hands, and we're going to finish with some crocodile breath. Again, getting those thumbs to dig in to that low back musculature that's along the spine. I want to kind of get some extra kind of assessment into that space. Nice inhale. Feel that belly expand like a balloon, pushing into the thumbs, into the index fingers, into the palms, like a balloon expanding in all directions. On the exhale, navel draws into the spine. Try to keep the back flat to the floor. Feel the back kind of spread as you exhale. And then inhale, because we're inflating that balloon. The balloon expands out, but it should also expand into the floor. Again, that's where those thumbs are, and I want to see if we can feel that low back musculature moving on that inhale, expanding away from the spine, kind of pushing more towards the floor. And compared to when we started at the beginning of the session, does it move a little bit more? Does it move a little bit better? And if so, and I would say the hip mobility and the activation work we did probably helped to get some better neurology into that area for our breath, which would mean that these would be good things to work on a little bit more frequently through the day. definitely as a daily practice. You can go ahead and relax the hands, let the palms up, relax the shoulders. Let that breath coming up now come up into the ribs, chest, shoulders. Same idea of expanding like a balloon. So feeling that chest rise, but also the upper back. Feel it expanding into the floor. Notice any areas of tension, density, where it might feel difficult to get things to move. And lightly focus that breath into that space. Breathe into the tension. And on the exhale, just allow the tension to melt. Let it start to kind of rinse away. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Take your time coming up to a seated or a standing position to make sure that you're not dizzy or lightheaded.